Father, we thank you for Karen, that she's prepared to share with us this morning. And I pray, Father, that you would bless her. Lord, I pray that she would know you close by as she shares, hopefully, your heart for the creation that you've given us. So I just pray for a huge blessing for Karen as she shares. And would you open our hearts to hear the message, Jesus, that you want us to take hold of. Amen. Thank you, Karen.
I forgot that. I was told to switch it on. Thank you. Hello, I'm Karen Park. I'm a volunteer speaker for Rocha UK and an authorised lay minister for Creation Care and Eco Church at St Mark's Church in Holbrook, which is in North Horsham. We're a Silver Award Eco Church, well on our way to a Gold Award. And I've always been concerned about the environment, but now, as a grandma, I'm even more concerned about the legacy we're leaving for future generations. Here at Bookham Baptist Church, you've also achieved a Silver Eco Church Award and are well on your way to a Gold Award, which is wonderful news. There are only 38 Gold Award Eco Churches. So the fact that both your church and ours are so close to that is a real achievement. Yeah. We're both blessed with relatively modern buildings, which does help a bit, but those with listed buildings, that is taken into account on the survey. I'm going to be giving you a lot of information. You don't need to take notes because I'll be emailing a PDF version of the slides, which can be widely shared, and also of my notes. And so within the slides and the notes, hopefully there's the web links to more information for anything that particularly interests you. So what's a Rocha UK? It's a Christian charity working to equip Christians and churches to protect and restore the environment for God, nature and all people. Part of the international Rocha network of Christian organisations in more than 20 countries in 6 continents, working collaboratively with others. Rocha in Portuguese means the rock. So, going on too quickly. That's it. In 1983, Anglican minister and his wife Peter and Miranda Harris set up a Christian nature study centre in Portugal. And in 2001, Rocha UK was co-founded by Dave and Anne Booklist. Dave has written a number of really interesting books, including this one, Planet Wise. So they set up Rocha UK in 2001 as a charity registered as a Christian conservation organisation. The Renew Our World campaign globally, 2023, was the hottest year on record, exacerbating weather extremes around the world, extreme heat, wildfires, droughts, floods, storms and rising sea levels are impacting on the safety of homes and the quality of the air we breathe. The Renew Our World campaign is a global movement of Christians urgently compelled as we see God's creation groaning and people suffering in every part of the world. You can download the free resources, including the Making a World of Difference booklet. The lead author was Reverend Dave Booklist, the Director of Theology for Rocha International. Our calling as Christians is not to wait for God to come and rescue us from a dying planet. It is to seek the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. The Bible represents a very different vision of the good life to that promised by politicians and advertising campaigns. In Romans 12 verse 2, it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing and perfect will." Rocha UK has a number of projects. The Partners in Action Network for Christian Land Managers includes the Wild Wolffields Urban Nature Reserve in West London and Foxearth Meadows, a rural nature reserve in Suffolk, and a Wild Christian project, which is for individuals and families, and the Eco Church project for churches. Our God is the creator and Lord of all things. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. Genesis chapter 1, verse 31. Human beings are identified as being one with creation, formed from the dust of the earth, yet bearing a unique responsibility for creation. God provided sufficient for all mankind and all living creatures, a sustainable ecosystem. God put Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden to work it and care for it. God values mankind, giving us the elevated role of being a responsible steward for the earth to safeguard the integrity of creation. And as eco-churches, we are learning how we can take better care of God's creation. But we're living in a climate and ecological emergency. If we understand how valuable creation is to God who made it, the suffering of creation should grieve us. Could we go back to the previous slide? That's it, thank you. Although humanity has plundered the earth and caused so much damage, we can also participate in God's restoration. The most important commandments are to love God and to love our neighbours, and tackling the climate crisis is vital to both. What does the Lord require of us? To act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. Micah chapter 6, verse 8. If I could go on to the next slide, please. That's lovely, thank you. During COVID, I started following Catherine Hayhoe. She lives in America, and she's a Christian and a climate scientist. And I've watched a number of her webinars, and that's one of the books that she's written. And she said, the reason I'm a climate scientist is because I'm a Christian. Climate change affects us all, but it doesn't affect us equally. Those most impacted are often the most vulnerable and marginalised, whether in our own communities or in regions like sub-Saharan Africa, the ones least responsible for creating this crisis in the first place. And this injustice is what compels me to advocate so passionately for climate action. As Jesus himself told his disciples, his followers should be recognised by their love for others. And what is climate change at its core other than a failure to love? As a Christian, Catherine advocates for solutions with multiple win-wins, climate actions that also address inequality, support local communities, enhance public health, and ensure access to clean food, water, and safe environments. Now, I'd love you to spend a minute or two around your tables discussing how do you feel about climate change? How is it impacting the people, the places, and the things that you love? What words come to mind when you think about climate change? As we progress through the talk, I'll be giving you some more ideas of what you as individuals and as a church can do, and of the free resources which are available. So you've just got a minute just to chat around your table or with the person next to you, particularly thinking of any key words of how you feel at the moment about climate change. Thank you. That's great. Just bring your discussions to a close, please. Now, hold on to those ideas and those words and phrases. Now, you're a Baptist church here, and the Baptist Union Environment Network, shortened to BUEN, I hope I've pronounced that right, which is Spanish for good. Do you remember God saw all that he had made and it was good? BUEN aims to raise awareness and respond to the environmental crisis, working for justice for creation and people impacted by environmental change. And there's a whole range of excellent resources on the website, so do have a look at them. I'm not going to use the clicker anymore, so just go with the flow of what I'm saying and change slides. Thank you. A Rocha UK project for churches of all denominations in England and Wales is Eco Church. The free online survey records what churches are already doing to care for God's earth, as churches work towards bronze, silver and gold awards to measure and celebrate their progress and engage practically in caring for the earth, and for this to be embedded into every aspect of church life. There are free online resources to inform decisions on further steps in 5 key areas of church life: worship and teaching, management of church buildings and church land, community and global engagement, and personal lifestyle. The Eco Church survey is automatically saved and the lines instantly change as points accumulate, reflecting the award level achieved. You must reach the required standard in each area that applies, and some churches are not responsible for their premises or their land. You need to keep an eco diary, especially for you here at Bookham Baptist Church, because that's a key part of applying for a gold award, and photos. Assessors will visit for a gold award. Bronze and silver, you just apply online for them. But for a gold award, an assessor will visit to see and hear all that you've done, and will be expecting to see that care for creation and Eco Church is embedded in every aspect of church life. The award threshold points are 25% for bronze, 50% for silver, and 75% for gold. And having completed or updated a survey, you can replicate all those answers into another survey and use that as a test survey to try out the effect of making some changes and seeing how that alters your progress towards the next award. Application for awards is online, the certificate is free, and you can purchase a plaque made from wood, which has been recycled. With increasing challenges of climate change and biodiversity loss, Rocha UK will soon be refreshing the Eco Church survey to ensure the most impactful actions for God's creation. But those churches who've already started, that's okay, you can carry on with this survey that you're using at the moment. Eco Church has an excellent suite of resources, with links available under the relevant survey questions and on the resources webpage. Anyone can access the resources webpage, and there are some great ideas there. You can quickly explore why and how to take recommended actions, and there are also longer reads and case studies. Now I'm going to go quickly through the 5 Eco Church areas. Worship and teaching is the first key area. There are resources for preaching, worship, prayer, and church communications. Kids and youth resources. There are 5 sessions for each age group, exploring the 5 Eco Church survey areas with a game, Bible study, story, activity, action, prayer, and worship ideas. Rocha also has free education plans for ages 3 to 14 years for schools, community groups, and churches. They can enjoy exploring nature and caring for our planet through fun, interactive indoor and outdoor activities. These are linked to the national curriculum and use scientific inquiry to educate. So please do tell teachers and schools about these free resources which are accessible online to anyone. The second key church area of Eco Church is management of church buildings. Each church is unique and needs to carefully consider the right combination of actions. Some are quick wins, others will need careful planning and expert advice. 7% of churches are already net zero carbon, and a sample of very high energy using buildings indicates that all can achieve net zero carbon. Guidance for churches includes keeping your buildings well maintained, wind and watertight, looking at insulation and managing drafts. One of the biggest things that any church or household or business can do is to buy 100% renewable electricity and so-called green gas. It's the simplest thing you can do to cut your net zero carbon footprint. So when your current contract next comes up for renewal, do please look at the green options available. waste less electricity, gas and oil, and manage the timing on heating controls. And where possible, move to electric heating, such as heat pumps, pew, infrared panel or chandelier heaters, and explore the possibility of solar panels. And it's really exciting to hear that they're going to be installed here very soon. Reduce your energy use as much as you can and then offset the rest through climate stewards or other reputable schemes to become net zero. And consider where you can plant vegetation and trees to grow naturally, capturing carbon. As well as the resources on the Baptist Environment Programme network, there's the Church of England Environment Programme, which has information, webinars and recordings open to all denominations, so do have a look there too. And these are resources to support and equip you. They are technical webinars for non-technical people, and I've learnt a lot from them. And the Church of England also has climate resilience webinars, how to prepare your buildings for more extreme weather, and how to use your church to protect your community. Moving on now to talk about the Climate Emergency Toolkit. This was launched by Tier Fund in partnership with these organisations to help your church or organisation to respond to the climate emergency. It's free to download. 2022 is the latest version, and there's step-by-step guidance to respond to the climate emergency. There are 3 simple steps: prepare, start the conversation and plan your response. Declare or recognise as a church that climate change is now an emergency. Impact widely by partnering with others to champion climate action. And step by step, together we can bring hope and change to the climate crisis. My church, St Mark's in Holbrook, we've used the Climate Emergency Toolkit step by step, and we've discussed and agreed on a statement, made an environmental policy, goals and a plan of action. And you can see on our website these key documents that we've put together. Now, the third key area of EcoChurch is managing church land. Actively managing land to benefit nature, plants and wildlife, to enable the community to access outdoor space, which is so important for our mental health. At St Mark's, we did No Mow May. It's not very popular, but it does make a difference. It's amazing how many flowers can just pop up in those few weeks. The roots and the leaves are already there. And if you can, go on to Let It Bloom June, which would be even better. What we're trying to do, we're varying in success on that, is to have mown edges so that it still looks like we're managing the church land and caring for it, and pathways so that people can walk through the areas of longer grass and enjoy seeing what's there. You can see at the bottom left photo, we've installed a pond. We've given an old pond liner shell that nobody wanted anymore. And when I work around that area of the garden, quite often the frogs pop up. And I was really close when I took that photo, and they just pop up and they just sit there looking around, sort of seeing what's going on. We have a number of nesting boxes and a bat box. And recently, working with Sussex Green Living, we've set up a pollination education station. Men's Sheds kindly made this for us. So this is the kind of thing that could be put up in somewhere where there isn't actually soil to work. There are herbs planted in the lower 2 sections which help pollinators, and the top section is lots of things for bugs and bees to nest and lay their eggs in, and the children had great fun filling that up. The next project we're going to be doing at St Mark's is producing a no-dig vegetable plot, just a small one, to give people ideas of what they could do in their small space in their own garden to grow some herbs, fruit and vegetables for their family. Target 25 is a Rocha UK's partner in action, working to help 25 target places and species struggling with the effects of climate change, habitat loss and pollution. For example, bees, butterflies, swifts, hedgehogs, native wildflowers and threatened habitats. There are information packs to help you monitor, record and take practical actions, and these are free to download. I've got some more information on the exhibition stall in the entranceway about hedgehogs, which is one of the things we've been doing a lot of work on in Horsham in collaboration with the District Council. So do chat to me afterwards if you want to know more about hedgehogs. Community engagement is another key eco-church area, and here in Bookham you've had a community clean-up, plastic-free picnic, the Great Big Green Week cake stall and Bookham Green Fair. All great ideas, well done. At my church, we have bins outside for Sussex Green Living recycling. This is in conjunction with the TerraCycle scheme, which some of you may have heard of. We encourage people to take their soft plastics to the supermarkets, as you do, to be recycled with carrier bags. Sadly, the supermarkets are not very good at advertising the fact that they do this, but all the big supermarkets do, and some of the smaller stores like Co-op as well. At the back of church, we have some collection boxes, and we recycle hearing aids, glasses, corks, postcards, candles, bras, cards, and postage stamps, which benefit a variety of charities and organisations. We can work in partnership to make a difference. Environmental and community groups, churches, councils, schools, businesses, and individuals sharing information, resources, expertise, and ideas. So do find out about what local initiatives you can partner with or help to publicise. These are some of the ones that churches in Horsham are working with. We have a community energy Horsham scheme where solar panels will be put on a large leisure centre managed by the district council, and local people will be able to invest in that. I work together with a large number of organisations across the South East representing eco-churches. That's the South East Climate Alliance. And I work very closely with the charity Sussex Green Living, and I've learnt such a lot from working with all the different people involved with these initiatives. Global engagement is another key eco-church area. Choosing fair trade, we stand with farmers who are taking on the climate crisis. Climate change hits those in low-income countries the hardest, with increasingly extreme, unpredictable weather destroying bananas, coffee, cocoa, and other crops. And we're only just beginning to see the effects of this in the prices and the supply of these products which we value so much. Farmers and workers are already underpaid and have even less to spend on essentials such as education, medical treatment, and even food. There are over 6,000 fair trade products, including bananas, biscuits, tea, coffee, sugar, chocolate, wine, clothes, and flowers. And churches recommit online every 2 years to being a fair trade place of worship. To bring about climate justice, we need change at all levels, as individuals, churches, and societies. Churches are supporting campaigns by organisations such as Tear Fund, Christian Aid, and Fair Trade. And they, from time to time, have petitions that you can sign. Coming up soon, any of you who are members of Wildlife Trusts, Woodland Trust, WWF, Christian organisations such as Rocha UK, Green Christian, will be hearing from them about the Restore Nature Now. It's on the 22nd of June and it's in London, and this was planned before the general election was announced, and thousands of us, I'll be there, will be meeting. The Christians are gathering in a church for a service which will include children's activities, and then we'll be marching together through the streets of London to join all the others and marching to Parliament Square. Chris Packham and many others are organised, and there's going to be entertainment along the route. I'll email more information about it. It's the church service will be at 11 a.m. Next slide, please. I joined in with the Lent Vigil for Climate Justice. Increasingly, there's joint action with the Rocha UK and a number of others. The Lent Vigil was 24 hours a day during Lent, outside Parliament. I didn't do a night stint, but a friend of mine did. And all these activities are planned in collaboration with the police and very carefully and well organised. It was extraordinary to be there for the last few hours of this Lent Vigil. And then we walked together to 10 Downing Street and had an outdoor church service. I think there were about 75 of us outside, worshipping God and praying for our government, for our country, for the world and the environment. Personal lifestyle. The fifth and last key area in the Eco Church survey is lifestyle. And it can be a challenge, but our household and personal actions do make a difference. Rocha UK has a Wild Christian project. It's monthly emails for individuals and households, something to think about, practical actions to enjoy, nurture and protect nature in your homes, communities and through campaigning. There's the Creation Care Scheme, which Ian mentioned. It encourages households of all ages with an easy-to-use free online questionnaire and ideas for your next steps towards a bronze, silver or gold award. There are 7 areas of life where you can see where you're doing well and how you can better care for God's creation. Worship and prayer, home, garden, food, possessions, travel and community and global engagement. So you can see it's very similar to the Eco Church survey and it works very well. Your church is registered with the scheme, and so they don't know what responses you're putting into the survey, but they will be notified when you achieve an award so that you can be presented with a certificate. You can create a list of questions that you want to go back to and explore further. So you can avoid feeling overwhelmed by using things like the Creation Care Scheme to help you review and celebrate where you're already doing well, and then focus on taking one step at a time as together we care for God's creation. I mentioned Climate Stewards earlier. It's part of the Rocha family of organisation, caring for God's creation around the world, helping individuals, churches and organisations to measure and reduce your carbon footprint, compensate for unavoidable carbon emissions by supporting community carbon projects in the Global South. These benefit health, family finances and the local environment, alongside carbon mitigation, for example, fireless cookers, biosand water filters and tree growing. Notice it's tree growing and not just tree planting. Many schemes plant trees, but it's so important to look after them properly afterwards. I've been learning recently about Project Drawdown, which is one of the projects that Catherine Hayhoe, who I mentioned earlier, endorses. These are climate solutions to help the world stop climate change as quickly, safely and equitably as possible. These solutions also reduce poverty, conserve biodiversity, cleanse water and air and advance justice. They are a science-based set of technologies and practices currently available, financially viable, able to scale and able to together stabilise greenhouse gases. Next slide, please. The vast majority of global emissions, 70 to 75%, can be reduced directly by the decisions of those who run businesses, utilities, buildings and governments. But our choices have a direct impact. As energy users, consumers and voters, we can affect those decisions by sending signals across the system. From 93 science-backed solutions identified by Project Drawdown, which we need to stop climate change, there are 20 high-impact climate actions that individuals and households in high-income countries like ours can take to reduce 25 to 30% of future greenhouse gases. So the actions that we take as individuals really do make a difference. You'll be able to see this a bit more clearly when you look on the links, but this is the 20 high-impact actions for households and individuals, and it's going down in scale as to how much impact that has on the carbon. I've spent time looking through this, and from that I've drawn up this selection of high-impact actions that I suggest would be really good for churches and households. Really interesting, reducing food waste has a really huge impact. It's in the days of the war and after the war, very little food was wasted, but young people, particularly nowadays, don't know how to store or use leftovers. So it's a really great idea for churches to get the older people to teach the younger people how to store and use leftovers. Plant-rich diets has a big impact too. As I mentioned before, switching to clean renewable energy, looking at insulation and drafts, using things like thermal curtains and blinds to keep your home or your office or your church warmer in winter and cooler in summer by closing them at certain points in the day. Using public transport, car sharing, walking and cycling, and bike repairs. That's become increasingly popular for churches to set up schemes to help people to repair their bikes and learn how to keep them safe and roadworthy. All the reducing, recycling and sharing of things, so we have less stuff, reducing plastic, composting and recycling paper, including using the back of a sheet, the leftovers, an envelope, just so that we use less paper altogether. Which of these real solutions resonate most with you, and how could you start to implement them today? Climate change can seem overwhelming, but together we can do simple things to help our planet and reduce our bills. The good news is that we have a multitude of solutions that can and should be implemented at every level, from individual to global. On their own, none are sufficient, but together they offer more than enough potential to meet the global targets of the Paris Agreement. We've briefly explored some aspect of the 5 eco-church areas: worship and teaching, management of church buildings and land, community and global engagement, and personal lifestyle. There are excellent resources, webinars and recordings free of charge to help your eco-church journey. But we need to act now. In the face of climate risks that threaten our planet's stability and the well-being of current and future generations, the urgency of action has never been greater. 2023 was the hottest year on record globally. 1 in 6 UK wildlife species are at risk of extinction. It was 1 in 10 in 2019. And the pollinators have decreased by 18%. There's been a significant increase in ice loss in Antarctica this year, and climate change is moving even faster than the scientists predicted. A climate catastrophe is unfolding around us, a danger to civilization. Our government talks about refugees, but there will be potentially 500 million to 1 billion climate refugees by 2030. That's 500 million to 1 billion by 2030. Some of those will be from our own country because people will be unable to live where they currently do. We are called to be God's hands and feet, a voice campaigning for change and making every practical difference we can. Each of us has a part to play, from making conscious choices in our daily lives to advocating for systemic change to policymakers, enacting bold initiatives on a global scale. We are living in deeply troubling times, with a steep rise in the cost of living and poverty. Advancing climate change and biodiversity loss will only increase human suffering and conflict, but fortunately, what is good for the climate helps to tackle poverty too. Next slide, please. Jane Goodall said, "You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make." So how do you feel now about climate change? What words come to mind now when you think about it? Many of you may still feel worried and anxious, and that means we understand the scale of the problem and how to channel this worry into action. We need a clear vision for a better future and what we need to do to get there. But by working together, we can rise above the fear and inertia that can paralyze us and realize the transformative potential of climate action. A sustainable and resilient future is truly possible. So you can do keep in touch. I will be keeping in touch with the team here at Bookham Baptist Church, and I look forward to hearing how your eco-church journey progresses. You can use those QR codes or the ones on the table to sign up for various newsletters from Rocha UK. And I coordinate something called Horsham Eco Churches through Horsham Churches Together, which is an ecumenical collection of churches that care about the environment, and we're working together. I do a monthly newsletter for them. Rocha UK is a small charity reliant on funding from grants and donations, and a gift, no matter how small, helps us to take action now and prepare for the future. We have a Root and Branch magazine sent twice a year to donors and churches who support our work with a gift of £25 or more a year. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. Underlying everything Rocha UK does is a biblical faith in the living God who made the world, loves it and entrusts it to the care of human beings. Talk to God and to each other about what the next eco steps might be in your personal life and for your church. Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Hebrews 10:24. I look forward to hearing how your eco church and creation care journeys progress. Thank you.